Hello everyone. Today I will present you how to set up a local development environment in 5 minutes. When you are working on diverse projects on your own or with other developers as a team, it takes some time at the beginning of the project to make the setup on your local environment and then to set up the project in the same manner for all your team members. When you want to later onboard new members uh, to that project, you might also have to spend some time helping them. Then you might have to do this over and over again for every other project that you are working on. It is not always easy to mimic as much as possible a production or a staging environment with all the necessary versions of services. So starting to actually code for a project is delayed because you first have to make sure that the environment you need for development is prepared. There are pre-configured recipes you can start with, for example, Backdrop, Drupal, Joomla, Laravel, LAMP, WordPress, or you can create your custom recipes depending on what your project requirements are. What if we could eliminate variability from developer to developer by scripting most of the project setup, and in this way to easily automate all the steps? This would drastically minimize the amount of time required for setting up the project. Lando is a solution for developers who want to quickly specify and painlessly spin up the services and tools needed to develop their projects. It is a free, open source, cross-platform local development environment and DevOps tools built on Docker container technology and developed by Tandem. Designed to work with most major languages, frameworks, and services, Lando provides an easy way for developers of all types to specify simple or complex requirements for their projects and then quickly get to work on them. Think of it as your local development's dependency management tool. In order for you to experience all the awesome Lando power, a Lando YAML file needs to exist in the root directory of your project. This file would contain all the things you need for running and developing your project. The ideal workflow is like this. A developer creates the project config file, then passes the file to all the team members, either by adding it to a version control or sharing it in another way, or simply reuse a file from other projects already implemented. Once the file is created, all is needed for everyone else to do is to simply run the Lando start command and will get equipped with all the things needed. Before starting with the project setup, you have to install Docker and then follow the Lando installation steps. Please don't forget to also check the system requirements before you do that to make sure that your system is compatible with Lando. The simplest way to get a WordPress instance up and running on your local machine is to follow some simple steps. Just create a directory, move inside the directory, and run the Lando init command. At this point, you will see a YAML file that was created in the root of your project. And then you can check the WordPress recipe, copy and adjust what you need from the official documentation, then run Lando rebuild to equip your local instance based on the latest changes you made to the Lando configuration file. I will show you an example of a custom setup using my own scripted events, taking advantage of the powerful WP-CLI. since we are aiming to set up a WordPress local instance in less than 5 minutes. Please keep in mind that you can use any of the pre-configured recipes or reuse any of the custom setups you already scripted. It's as simple as that. I open a terminal and create a folder called instance1, then move in that folder. Then I create an empty Lando YAML file. Yes, it's there. Then copy and paste a recipe from another scripted setup I already created. Here I mentioned the instance name, the PHP version, some welcome message, and what else I need for the project. Then I use WP-CLI to download, configure, and install WordPress as needed. And for testing purposes, I install one plugin. When I am done with editing the config file, I get back to the terminal and run the Lando start command. At this point, the container will be provisioned with all the tools, services, packages required for the project based on the setup I scripted. The amount of time required for provisioning depends on what is required to be downloaded and installed. I can see the welcome message that I put in the config file and the info about the name, location, services, and URLs available for the instance. Since this is the first time I install the project on my local machine, I will run one time the Lando custom init command. This will trigger the execution of the custom event I scripted with the purpose to download, install, and configure the WordPress instance. I can see that the files are downloaded and these appear in my project folder. The plugin was also installed and activated, and everything seems ready now. I will just copy the project URL and paste that in a browser. Yes, the instance was created and I can log in into admin using the specified credentials. I check the plugins and the expected plugin is installed and activated there, and also the core version is the one that I expected. I can also check the database and I can access the instance phpMyAdmin. So this is all. I can focus now on actually implementing some code for the project. Let's see how it goes if I need to set up a new project. I open the terminal and create a new folder called instance2 and move in that folder. Then I create the empty Lando YAML file. Then I copy and paste the recipe from another project I already created. Here I mention the instance name, another WordPress version, and then I use WP-CLI to configure and install another WordPress core version. When I'm done, I go back to the terminal and run the Lando start command and wait for the container to be provisioned. It's pretty much the same as for the previous instance. I don't have to do anything at this point. I see the welcome message, which means I'm almost done with spinning up the instance. And since it's the first time I install the project, I would run again the Lando custom init command to actually start downloading and installing the WordPress core. And for this setup, to actually activate a different theme and install some more plugins. Yep, everything seems to be ready. Let's check how things went. Okay, the instance was created and I see that the expected theme is activated. I can log in into admin with the specified credentials. I'm checking the plugins. Yes, everything that I expected is already installed and activated. And of course, we expected that we have a different WordPress core installed, not the latest one. I can actually SSH into Lando and check the services versions, for example. I'm checking the PHP version. So all done and under 5 minutes. You can find the Lando official documentation. There are a lot of examples and recipes you could use. I'm happy to share the presentation and more WordPress related work on my website and on my WordPress.org profile. I am Julia Kazan and I work as a full stack developer. Thank you.